guys, it's Sarah, and today I have another edition of Try a Chapter Tag. And I have been keeping kind of some ideas for this type of tag video because I really like it, and it's gotten me to read a few books that I probably wouldn't have picked up normally right at that time, and I've really enjoyed that. So this edition is going to be dollar store books, because I've gotten a few books from the dollar store, and these are usually books I've never heard of. Maybe sometimes I've heard of the author, and they're just books that when I read the synopsis in the dollar store, I'm interested and I get them because they're $1. A lot of times I get them because they're $1. So I figured I would go ahead and collect all the books that I have purchased at the dollar store and give each one a try for the first chapter and pick one to read and see what I think. Okay, so I'm going to give you just a brief little synopsis of what each book is about, and then I will kind of take just some time throughout the afternoon today to read the first chapter or so in each book, and I will kind of do a vlog style of what I thought immediately after reading that. So the first one here is Sisterland by Curtis Sittenfeld, and this follows two twins who grow up in the 1980s, and they're very close and just have a really close relationship, and then going into, as they're getting older in teenage years, something happens that drives them apart, and they kind of spend most of the rest of their time apart from each other and not really acknowledging each other. They go very different directions, and then one night something happens and they are drawn back to each other and kind of having to face what happened in the past. So that sounds very interesting to me. Okay, the next one here is Gun Machine, and this is written by Warren Ellis. This follows a detective who lives in New York City, and he ends up losing his partner in a shootout in the middle of an abandoned building. They discover in that building that there is a big stack of guns, and upon further investigation, each gun is linked to an unsolved murder. So they kind of come across this huge, prolific killer who is killing all these people with these different guns, and they're finding all the evidence. And I believe that going on and finding out through more of this investigation, this killer believes that he is fulfilling some sort of godlike prolific prophecy by killing all these people. Warren Ellis actually wrote the graphic novel Red, which became a movie starring Bruce Willis and Helen Mirren a couple years ago, and my husband saw that movie and he loved it. So I didn't know that. I thought that was very interesting. I just read that on the back of the book, so that's pretty cool. But yeah. Okay, the next one is The Visionist, and this is by Rachel Urquhart. This book is a historical fiction, and it takes place in the early 1900s. It follows a young girl named Polly who sets fire to her farm and ends up killing her abusive father, so she intentionally committed arson. She and her younger brother run for their lives, basically. They end up in a new settlement, and Polly is a visionist, which is someone that can have visions and kind of tell you what's going on or what's about to go on, and it's something that all settlements want to have. So she's very coveted in that, and she is also trying to hide the past and not let anyone know that she committed arson, because that is a crime, obviously, and she did kill somebody. And she's trying to kind of reinvent herself in this new settlement, but there is someone who is kind of on her trail and finding out exactly what she did. Okay, and the last one here is The Shining Girls, and this is by Lauren Dubuques. This is actually a time-traveling book about a serial killer who can travel through time. So he is able to commit murders in different time periods, and then he can disappear immediately after because he can travel through time. So he is never ever caught because he's never around to get caught. And this follows a young girl named Kirby who is called a shining girl. I don't know exactly what that means. I guess I would find out when I read the book, but she is one of his potential victims, and she ends up surviving his attack. So she spends her time trying to hunt him down, even though he's time traveling, and he is still trying to make sure she doesn't survive because she did, and she's the only one who has survived who could probably take him down. And this sounds pretty interesting. Okay, so I'm going to take some time today and read the first chapter in each of these books and make a decision on which one I'm going to go ahead and read, and I will let you know. Okay guys, so I have moved to my couch, get a little comfortable here, and I'm going to start reading the first chapter in these books. The first one I'm going to start with is Sisterland. There is a prologue and then chapter 1, and altogether it's about 12 pages. So I'm going to go ahead and read both of those and let you know what I think. Okay guys, so I just read the prologue, which was only 2 pages, and then the first chapter, which went up to page 12, and it was fine. The prologue was actually about an earthquake, or a series of earthquakes that happened back in the 1800s. I don't know if those are accurate, like if those really happened or not, but it talks about those. And then the first chapter is these 2 twin sisters. As they're grown-ups, they went out for lunch. One of them has 2 kids. The other one is a single woman who is kind of not confessing, but talking about going on a date with another woman, and her sister's like a little irritated with her because she doesn't really know what kind of sexuality she is, and she doesn't know if she actually believes that her sister's a lesbian or if she's just doing it to do it. And then another earthquake happens that night, and you just see the woman with the sister with her 2 kids and her husband, you know, that happens. And that's it. So it was fine. The writing was fine. We'll see how the other ones go. Okay guys, I'm going to do the next one. I took a break and ate some lunch because I'm starving. So I ate, and now I'm going to pick up Gun Machine and see what the first chapter is in this. I'm actually going to read the first 2. These chapters are very, very short. So the first 2 chapters are 12 pages together. So I figured I would go ahead and just do that because the first one was 12 pages as well. So maybe it will get me a little bit more of a feel for what I think. Okay guys, so I just read the first chapter and I don't need to read the second one to know. I'm super interested in this. This first chapter is following the 2 cops that I talked about, and our main character's partner was shot, and that happened in the first chapter here, and he was killed. This made me laugh a little bit because some of the descriptions that the author used were really funny, and then it also made me go ill because the description of the shooting was pretty graphic. But I like that, so I'm really super interested in this. This is the front runner right now. Okay, so now I'm going to move on to The Visionist, and this one is a prologue plus the first chapter, so it's about 18 pages. It's just a little bit longer, so let's see how this goes. Okay guys, so I read the prologue and the first chapter of this, and it was fine. This is going to be a bit of a slower read. I don't know if I'm really in the mood for something like that right now, but the writing is good, and I'm definitely interested in the story. I just don't know if I'm in the mood for something that I would probably need to take some time with, so probably not going to be the one that I pick this time. Okay guys, last one. I am going to read the first chapter of The Shining Girls. It's only 8 pages, so I will see if that's enough for me to make a decision. This is the other one that I think is capturing my interest based on the premise alone. So it's probably going to be either this one or Gun Machine. And the first chapter is 8 pages, and the second chapter goes up to page 15. If I read the first chapter and I'm still not sure which one I'd rather go with, then I'll read the second chapter just to see which one is going to capture my interest and make me pick it. But I'm excited to see what this is about. Okay guys, so I read the first chapter. I didn't really feel like I needed to keep reading. It was still hard for me to make a decision though. I was really just trying to decide between The Shining Girls and Gun Machine because I really enjoyed the first chapter in both of these. I really enjoyed the writing. I really enjoyed kind of the setup for the storyline, and it took me a little bit to make a decision, but I think I decided, and I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to read The Shining Girls right now. But Gun Machine is probably going to make its way onto my nightstand here really soon because I'm still very intrigued by that one. So I'm going to go ahead and read this now, and then I will come back and let you know my thoughts on it. Okay guys, so I just finished The Shining Girls, and I flew through this really quickly. I only read it in a few days, and I really, really enjoyed this. This was a nice little surprise. So like I said when I started, this follows a serial killer who time travels. He figures out that the house he's living in, or a house that he ended up discovering back in the 1930s, was a time traveling type of house. So he kind of took it over, not inherited, but he took this house over so that he could do this. So he goes to different time periods and he looks for girls who he calls the shining girls, and they are literally, to him, they're glowing. So that is his sign that she is one of his girls that he is supposed to kill. And he finds them all throughout time. So we go, we're in the 1930s and we go into, I believe, the 50s and the 70s and the 90s. So he's kind of all over the place. I even think he goes to the 80s a little bit. And you see him not only looking for these girls, but he kind of stalks them throughout their life. So he doesn't go to their time period, find them, and then kill them right away. He finds them as children and he makes a connection with them. He usually gives them a little present to hold on to and tells them, it's very important that you hang on to this for me until I see you again. And then he finds them again later and he keeps popping back up into their lives until he ultimately ends up taking their life. It was so good, you guys. And this follows not only him, but it follows a girl named Kirby, who is one of his shining girls, and she actually survives his attack. He doesn't know it right away. He actually thinks she's dead. So he goes and does other things, and then come to find out she has actually survived, and he can't have that. He can't have a survivor who's a witness and, can describe him. So you kind of find this happening. Kirby, a couple years after her attack, is wanting to find him because he hasn't been found. She wants to know why. She starts doing a whole lot of investigating on it. So she's hunting him while he's time traveling and killing other girls. And then he ends up trying to hunt her again because he finds out she's alive. I really, really enjoyed this. It was really, really good. The only thing that was a little bit confusing was, so much of the time jump, almost every single chapter is a different time. So you have to really know where you are. So a few times I had to kind of flip back and go, okay, wait, what decade are we in? So I had to kind of go back. And this is actually told, each chapter is from a different character's point of view. So it was very, very good. I really, really enjoyed this. This was a nice little surprise from the dollar store. Like, who knew? It was great. And I definitely recommend it if you like serial killer stuff. It is very violent, so keep that in mind. There's a lot of violence in here. It's very graphic violence, so just keep that in mind. But I really, really would recommend this for sure, especially people who like thrillers and time travel and, those types of books. Definitely pick this one up. It's definitely worth the read. I gave this one 4 stars. I'm really happy I read it. And yeah, so who knew? Dollar store for the win. Okay, I hope you guys enjoyed that. Please let me know if you guys have any questions. Let me know if you have read this and what your thoughts were on it as well. And I will talk to you guys again later. Have a great day. Bye.